Hi gentle people, good morning, welcome back on 18 Squad Lab, and today we'll have a small video to explain you how to paint empty shell casings. When I opened my Tiger 1 box from Dragon, I was super happy to discover that this kit included some brass shells. Their manufacture is perfect, the sculpting of the details is very thin. You can see here the difference between the plastic elements, also included in the kit obviously, and the brass elements. Both types, whether it's plastic or brass, have to be fitted with the rear part in photo etched. The biggest disadvantages of the plastic pieces is that you will need to sand them to remove the plastic sprue injection pins. You have also some seam lines across the shell casings, so that needs to be sanded as well. And the sculpting is obviously much thicker. Another surprising point is that this box only includes in plastic the armor piercing shells, while the brass elements propose not only the armor piercing shells but as well the HE version, the high explosive. Okay, first point is that prior painting, even if the sculpting is very good for the brass elements, we will need to thin a little bit more the extremity of our empty shell casings. The second point is that you cannot use, to my opinion, these brass shell casings, empty shell casings, as they are. I mean, yes, they are looking like brass casings, but they are much too shiny, and we need to find a solution, an easy solution to break this shiny appearance. There is a huge difference between these empty shell casings standing in the middle of a living room, well polished and shiny, and a real empty shell casings that have just been thrown away from the combat compartment after being shot. And even prior being used, these brass casings suffered from air corrosion and humidity, and so can present different aspects. This picture was my principal source of inspiration to paint my empty shell casings, the one I put on the backside of my Tiger 1. What we can immediately notice on this picture is how the heat production during firing has modified the colors of these brass empty shell casings, turning from yellow to orange and with some dark brown and even bluish aspects at some points. The easiest way I found to break the shiny appearance of these casings was to burn them with a torch. Using a candle do not produce the same result, as probably the heat produced is not sufficient. So a little torch is really practical and proved to be useful to turn the brass color into a much more matte appearance, even with already some tone variation. From top to bottom you can see a 88 millimeters that was not burned. Then you have two shells burned with a candle, and the last one on the bottom side, which is an empty shell casing which has been burned with a torch. So you can clearly see that you can reach a much bigger corroded aspect using a torch than using a candle. I started the painting process with alclad aluminum color, applied pure, without any dilution, applied with the airbrush with a needle of 0.2 millimeters and an air pressure of 1 bar. I applied this paint on the middle section of the casing, leaving both extremities unpainted. I then gave a layer of alclad burnt iron on the lower side of the aluminium section, just to make the transition between the aluminium color and the brass color. Again, this alclad color is applied pure without any dilution, with the same air pressure and the same needle. To simulate the brass heated blue, I used the X23 clear blue from Tamiya, diluted at 200%, so For 6 droplets of paint you can use up to 12 droplets of Tamiya lacquer thinner, the one with the yellow cap. I used this highly diluted paint above the aluminium color in small layers until reaching the bluish aspects that was required. Here is the result after this thin blue layer application. To improve the blending of these colors with the brass colors, I applied a very thin layer of pale burnt metal from Alclad with the same air pressure, 1 bar, same needle, and passing this thin coat above the aluminium and blue colors. I then painted the interior of the casings with a little bit of black acrylic from AK Interactive and used a mix of lamp black and Payne's grey all color to brush the outer extremities of the shell casing. I also used these 2 colors on the other outer extremity to simulate the presence of powder residues and dirt coming from the main barrel. Well guys, no more secrets. I hope you have learned something interesting. I received quite a lot of questions about how I painted these empty shell casings. Now you've got it, and I hope it was interesting. See you in the next video. Greetings from Portugal. See you, ciao.